It's 2026, and if you're still paying rent without Built, it's time for a change. Built is the loyalty program for renters that rewards you for your biggest monthly expense, rent. With Built, every rent payment earns you points that can be used toward flights, hotels, Lyft rides, Amazon.com purchases, and so much more. And here's something I'm really excited about. Now Built members can earn points on mortgage payments for the first time. That means you can get rewarded wherever you live and unlock exclusive benefits from more than 45,000 restaurants, fitness studios, pharmacies, and other neighborhood partners. Personally, I'd redeem my points for gift cards. You have no idea how many birthday parties my kids go to. It's simple. Paying rent is better with Built. And now owning a home can be better with Built too. Earn rewards and get something back wherever you live. Join the loyalty program for renters at joinbuilt.com/Kate Casey. That's joinbilt.com/Kate Casey. And make sure to use our URL so they know that we sent you. Quince is all about elevated essentials that feel effortless. Designed for layering and mixing, each piece helps build a timeless wardrobe made to last. With versatile silhouettes and thoughtful details, they're the kind of styles you'll wear again and again. 100% organic cotton sweaters, premium denim made with stretch for all-day comfort, luxe cotton cashmere blends perfect for the changing seasons. Everything you need for a wardrobe that actually lasts. Quince works directly with safe, ethical factories and cuts out the middleman so you're not paying for brand markup, just high-quality clothing. Quince uses the highest quality materials like 100% European linen and organic cotton. Everything is built to hold up season to season. One of the big staples of my wardrobe is the Quince Mongolian cashmere sweater. I recommend getting the oversized crew in black and oatmeal. It goes with everything. Refresh your wardrobe with Quince. Go to quince.com/Kate Casey for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. That's QUINCE.com/Kate Casey to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/Kate Casey. My mornings typically start at about 6 o'clock, and I'm usually up pretty late. As you can imagine, I need to be running on all cylinders to keep up with 5 kids and a daily podcast. I am always on the hunt for great wellness products, and you guys, I have a great one for you. I started taking the Super Elixir, a premium daily greens powder formulated to support all 11 systems of the body, including improved gut health, immunity, energy levels, and skin, hair, and nail health. It contains a blend of 40-plus whole food ingredients, probiotics, and minerals, designed to reduce body acidity. I love that it's gluten-free, and I feel like I do have healthier skin and nails. I mix it with water or coconut water, and I'm good to go. Super easy and convenient. And the taste, it's original pineapple and lime, so it has a vibrant, tropical, and tangy flavor with the citrusy punch that hides the green taste of ingredients like wheatgrass. And by the way, it's Elle Macpherson's daily elixir for thriving through menopause. Right now, get 15% off the Super Elixir at wellco.com and use the code KateCasey15 at checkout. Try it for yourself and feel a difference within weeks. That's WELLECO.com, code KateCasey15 at checkout for 15% off the Super Elixir. 15% off at WELLECO.com, promo code KateCasey15, first time orders only.
The amazing Kate Casey.
Welcome back for another episode of Reality Life with Kate Casey, and welcome back for this Saturday series episode. Today, my guest is my friend Shira Boehler. We met when we were both parents at the same preschool. At first, it was quick conversations in the parking lot or just after class, the kind of small talk you make at a preschool while wrangling backpacks and snack containers. But then those quick chats turned into birthday parties and then dinners and then long conversations at the beach or on walks. We've seen each other through pregnancies, through husbands with unpredictable pack schedules, through the constant juggle of work and family. Some afternoons, we'd actually sit side by side at the coffee bean between pickups, laptops open, just trying to squeeze in a few productive hours before the next wave of parenting began. Somewhere in all of that ordinary life, a real friendship took hold. Now, earlier this year, Shira was in town visiting, and a group of us from preschool went out to celebrate, not just her visit, but we were also supporting our friend Gila, who had been diagnosed with breast cancer. And so, as it often goes, Shira, in that case, was the caretaker, the connector, the one keeping us informed. And in the months that followed, she would update our group text about her treatment and her recovery. And then a few months later, that same text chain shifted because this time the news was about Shira, lung cancer. Shira grew up in a family of doctors. Health was never an afterthought for her. She exercised, ate well, paid attention to her body, and even went further than most. Despite never having symptoms, she regularly did preventative medical testing. So last July, she went in for a full body MRI. Now, it was not required, and it was not covered by insurance. It cost $2,000 out of pocket, and she almost did not go. Her husband, Adam, insisted that she go. She almost canceled at the last minute. She had just run 6 miles. She felt strong. So the scan was meant to be a baseline, a precaution. But what it found was a small spot on her lung. The report didn't even describe it as particularly concerning. It mostly reflected things she already knew: thyroid disease, a C-section scar. And because she had no symptoms and was extremely active, she initially let it go. But her family did not, because Shira is the daughter of 2 doctors, and her father is a lung specialist. They pushed her to follow up. And in September, she had another appointment and a diagnostic chest CT. So on October 1st, she's only 43 years old. She's diagnosed with stage 1B lung cancer. Again, had never smoked a cigarette in her entire life. 5 days later, she underwent surgery to remove part of her lung. Lung cancer is the leading cause of cancer death in the United States. More people die from it each year than from colon, breast, and prostate cancers combined. Now, we are taught to associate it almost entirely with smoking. And while smoking increases risk, it is not the only cause. Non-smokers can develop lung cancer from radon, secondhand smoke, pollution, genetic mutations, and sometimes for reasons we still don't fully understand. And as Shira says so clearly, if you have lungs, you can get lung cancer. That scan saved her life. If she had waited another year or 2, that cancer would have spread, and her children might have lost their mother. So since then, she's written a book called One Scan Saved My Life, launched a foundation called cancerdoesntcare to support lung screening access and research, and has made it her mission to talk openly about a health crisis that does not get nearly enough attention, and especially for women. She's also honest about the privilege involved in accessing preventative testing, and she's determined to use her story to help others get screened. When lung cancer is caught at the same early stage she was diagnosed, survival rates exceed 90%. So this conversation is not just about friendship or motherhood or medicine and the unsettling ways that life can pivot without warning. It's about caretaker becoming the patient. It's about one decision you didn't almost make and how it can change everything. And I'm so grateful for her honesty and for trusting us with her story. Here is my conversation with my friend, Shira Boehler. I first met Shira when we were preschool parents at a place called Temple Bat Yam in Newport Beach, California. Now, you're originally from Santa Barbara, and I always thought it was so funny that you knew Andrew Firestone, who became The Bachelor.
Yeah, that is true.
You guys went to the same school?
Way back when. I haven't spoken or thought about him in a lot of decades. That was a good memory, though.
Well, I got to Coffee Bean one day, and you said, "Oh my God, it's so weird. This guy I went to school with was a Coffee Bean. His name's Andrew Firestone." I'm like, yeah, he was like The Bachelor.
No, that's also true about me. I am not up on my
worst
reality.
Or anybody, you know, like, who's that person? What's going on? Yeah. But that's also because you were always kind of like, you know, in the thick of work stuff. You were actually the reason that I interviewed Anthony Scaramucci when he went on Big Brother, because you would work with him.
Yeah. I worked at Skybridge Capital for about a month shy of, I think, almost 10 years.
That's so wild.
Which is crazy, on the investment team. And then he went on Big Brother.
Aaron, who had been on The Real World, Los Angeles.
Oh, yeah. Aaron Bailey. Heather and Aaron. Yeah, that is true. Another good one.
There you go.
You're right. I'm very tied into this reality world, and I don't know anything about it.
And you had no idea. Exactly. And now you guys live in Nashville. I feel like you're probably surrounded by people that are either on reality shows or want to be on a reality show.
It's probably true. Not me. I don't know the reality shows still.
How are people in Nashville different than people in Southern California?
Well, this past week, we had no power for 10 days because we had an ice storm. So we're wildly different in dress. We're all wearing big parkas right now. So that part's not good. I would say that Nashville's driven by the healthcare community and the music world, which I find really interesting. I would say Nashville to healthcare is like the Silicon Valley to tech.
Mm-hmm.
So at school now, which is different than at school when I lived in Newport, either people walk into the building in business attire and you know they work in healthcare, or they walk into the building and the parents look like maybe a little bit homeless and you know they're in music.
Then you're in music.
Like the stringy hair and the non-shaved and like the cool clothes.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what runs Nashville, which is interesting. So like the music world, a lot of if like the dad is in music, he does a lot of the carpooling back and forth. So I've become friends with a lot of the dads because if the mom is in healthcare, they have like more of a structured, 8 to 6 job. And then like I see the dad and we text and we figure things out. And then one day I'm like at the Sphere and there's the dad playing drums. And I'm like,
no way.
What?
Well, that's
and then I
very
text
you.
him and I'm like, are you at the Sphere? I mean, that's what happens. And he's like, Rachel's mom? And I'm like, so that's kind of what drives it. Whereas Newport Beach, you had like more surfer, cool, look and feel. It's just like a different vibe. We have like corporate and homeless.
There you go. You also were neighbors or are neighbors with a family that had been affected by a school shooting. And I remember calling you and you were driving by the house and all the neighbors were on the front lawn holding each other. Yeah. So I do feel like you've had a lot of these moments in your life where you're just connected to these stories, these moments in history.
It is true. That was really hard. The Covenant shooting was really hard for our community. I still have a pink heart hanging from my mailbox and a pink heart on the mailbox flag to remember the little girl because she was friends with my kids and I'm still friends with the mom. So that was a very emotional, difficult time for the whole family, the whole community, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Well, just go back a little bit in time. When you were growing up, was there a certain career trajectory you had planned for yourself?
Yeah, I think if I go back, I studied molecular and cell biology in undergrad, but maybe more so because my parents are both doctors. Mm-hmm. My dad's a lung doctor. My mom's a pediatrician. Both my brothers are orthopedic surgeons. My grandfather was an anesthesiologist. So it's generations of it. But I guess I knew I didn't want to go into medicine. So I went into the business side. And that's where I met my husband. And then I went back to business school in New York. And then we had, what did we do? 2 kids in New York, 3rd in San Diego, 4th in Newport Beach with you. And ultimately, in Nashville now, we have a healthcare investment firm and I help run our family office. And we're still very focused in the healthcare world. So whether it's for myself and like trying to eat healthy and exercise and do all the scans and get the 23andMe and do a full genetic screening to like investing in the healthcare businesses that we sometimes look at or starting a healthcare business in a certain section of the population to help others. So we're still totally in healthcare from the beginning, I guess.
So that leads us to the scan. So tell me a little bit about how this all happened.
So over the summer, we were in New York. And of course, I wanted to see my girlfriends and run around. And my husband wanted me to get the full body MRI. And I gave a lot of pushback because I'm very claustrophobic, like very. And I cannot handle being in those machines. And we kind of went back and forth and fought a little bit about it. He really wanted me to do it because he felt like it was a good baseline. And like I said, I've always been healthy with eating and exercise. I ran 6 miles that morning in New York. And we fought for a while. He ultimately won. And I went in and had this full body MRI. And a few days later, they sent me the results. And it basically, told me things that I knew, like, you have nodules on your thyroid because you have thyroid disease. You have an IUD because you don't want a 5th child, things like that I kind of knew about. But one of the items said that I had a 3.8 centimeter mass in my lung, but it said it was an incidental finding and only follow up in 3 months if I had symptoms. But like I had just run, so I had no symptoms. I didn't think much of it. But I ultimately, like a month or 2 later, kind of showed told my dad about it, who's a pulmonary specialist, told a friend of mine in Nashville about it, who's a lung radiology specialist. And both my dad and this woman said to me, that's ridiculous. We don't look at lungs in an MRI machine because MRIs focus more on like the full organ, and a lung is full of air. And so it's harder to see pictures of the lungs in an MRI. And they were like, look, if you want to get a follow-up CT, you can. Then we can have a better picture. But there's no like real point in looking at it from an MRI perspective. So I ultimately went and had a follow-up CT. And that follow-up CT actually came back and it said, now the mass looks like it's 4.1 centimeters. But if you're not symptomatic, don't worry about it.
Every year I tell myself, I'm going to get better about meal planning. And every year life gets busy and it falls apart. What finally clicked for me is realizing that meals don't have to look one specific way. They just have to fit your life. That's what Marley Spoon does really well. What I love is that Marley Spoon actually adapts with you. Some nights you cook, some nights you heat, some nights you just need dinner done fast. They've got options for all of it so that meals fit your schedule and not the other way around. And here's what I love. They give you over 100 recipes to choose from each week. We're talking comforting classics to fresh, balanced dishes. Marley Spoon has tons of options in their marketplace, from meal shortcuts and drinks to fresh groceries that you can add on every week. And you can find these in every weekly menu. And you've got a few extra minutes. You've got some great 20-minute options too. And my personal favorite hack, the tray baked dinners. Literally throw everything on one tray and boom, you're done. And they even include the tray. My favorite recent meal from Marley Spoon was the honey lemon chicken, but my kids also love the citrus kale salad with poached salmon. So this new year, fast track your way to eating well with Marley Spoon. Head to marleyspoon.com/offer/Kate Casey for up to 25 free meals. That's right, up to 25 free meals with Marley Spoon. That's marleyspoon.com/offer/Kate Casey for up to 25 free meals. This new year, fast track your way to eating well with Marley Spoon. Head to marleyspoon.com/offer/Kate Casey for 45% off your first order and free delivery. That's right, 45% off your first order and free delivery. That's marleyspoon.com/offer/Kate Casey.
And I showed that CT to my friend here in Nashville who's a lung radiology specialist. And that's, what kind of turned me 180 degrees. And so she called me. I was actually at a concert because it's Nashville and everyone listens to live music. It was Kings of Leon. I had my son with me because the Kings of Leon men, the cousins and the brothers in the band, their children go to school with my kids. So my son was like, I want to go see my friend's dad play. So we went and I took him and we went to the concert. And when I was there, my friend, the radiologist, called me. And we're friends. We have sushi once or twice a month, things like that. But she's not like someone who would call me on a Saturday night to talk to me. And she just said, hey, you gave the CD to me, and I just had a chance right now to look at it. I had given the CD of my scan to actually her husband on Friday after school because he, was running the kids back and forth from school that day. And so she was like, I was at volleyball all day with my kids. So I just am looking at it and I don't like it. And I was like, okay, it's kind of annoying. I'm at a Kings of Leon concert. And she said, I booked you another scan because the scan you got was a 5 millimeter slice and I need a 1 millimeter spiral. And I also booked you a pulmonary doctor appointment. And I was like, well, my dad's a pulmonologist. Why would you book me that? And she said, well, his daughter's in your daughter's class. So you know each other. And I just want you to see him. And then she said to me, and where's Adam? And I was like, who cares a little bit? Like, it's not like, I love my husband and she knows that, but we don't like keep tabs on each other. And I said, he's in Afghanistan. He's getting hostages. And she said, well, I want to call him because I think he should come home. So that was kind of my first flag of like, there might be a problem, but I also like kind of didn't believe it because I was at a Kings of Leon concert and I didn't have any symptoms. And so she ended up calling him. He spoke to the pulmonary specialist. I didn't know any of this. He got on a plane left Afghanistan, flew to Qatar, and then flew back to Nashville. And I woke up Monday morning. I ran 6 miles, went and had my scan, and walked into Vanderbilt Hospital. And my husband walked in just as I was pulling into the pulmonary specialist. And I did the scan, and I called my friend, the radiologist, and I said, "Oh, I just did the scan." And she said, "Yes." And I said, "Okay." And she said, "My partner read it for me." And I said, "Okay." And she said, "Okay," and hung up. And I was like, that's weird. So Adam walks in, we sit down with the doctor, and I say to Adam, "Kim sounded upset." And he says, "Who cares what Kim said?" Because he thought I was talking about his sister, Kim. Like, who cares what Kim, his sister, thinks? And I was like, that's weird. You would think that he would care. Mm-hmm. And the pulmonary specialist walked in, and he said, "Look, I just got off the phone with Kim. I'm going to pull up your scan. We think you have lung cancer." And I was like, what? And it's a Monday morning. And I looked at him and I said, "I'm really sorry, but you have the wrong person. It's the wrong scan." And he was like, "You're not what I thought. You are not what we think of as the demographic. And this is not what I want to be saying. But Kim and I think you have lung cancer." And Adam goes, "That Kim." So that's when it clicks for him. I start crying. He starts crying. We're trying to figure out what's going on. And I just keep saying, "Wrong scan. I just ran 6 miles. Look at me. I'm like
and
sweaty.
I don't smoke.
I don't smoke. My dad's a lung doctor. This isn't right." And he said, "Well, Kim saw this on Saturday when she called me, and we rebooked the scan hoping it would look different, but it doesn't. What Kim also did is she booked a bronchoscopy for Tuesday morning." So this was Monday. And I was like, okay. So he walks me through what a bronchoscopy is, which I knew what it was because I grew up with a father who's a lungs doctor, and that's what he did. He would come home and be like, "I had 3 bronchs this morning," and we would talk about it. So I knew what it was. Adam and I ultimately went home on Monday. We had to tell the kids. Tuesday morning, I went back into the hospital and had a bronch. And when I woke up from the bronch at 3:00 on Tuesday afternoon, I said again to the doctor, "Wrong person, right?" And I was like, kind of joking, "Malpractice in your future," you know. And he just looked at me, and I said, "I just ran 6 miles, like wrong scan." And he looked at me and he said, "I'm sorry, Shira, but I still believe you have lung cancer." So that was a Tuesday. On Wednesday, they upload it in your EMR now, almost before the doctor can call you, which is a little bit crazy. So I pull up the lab results, and it says I have an adenocarcinoma, which is a lung cancer in my lungs. They thought it was like 3.5 centimeters. So it wasn't 4.2 anymore. They thought it had, not that it had shrunk, but the different scans show different sizes.
Is that possible that it grew in between that time?
It definitely grew from the summer to the scan date. So, but the summer scan was an MRI. It said 3.8. And then the scan in late September showed 4.1. But as they do more and more detailed scans, because the scans were different levels of detail, it looked like it was closer to 3 something. But ultimately, Thursday, I met a surgeon and I did a pulmonary function test, which again, when I did the pulmonary function test, the surgeon walked in and was like, "I've never seen such a strong pulmonary function test. Your lungs are unbelievable." And I was like, "I know. Everyone thinks I have lung cancer. Like, what is happening? This isn't right." And then Friday, I had a PET scan where they give you like nuclear reactive medicine in you. You wait an hour and then they scan your whole body, and it kind of shows some fast growing cells. So they didn't want me exercising that day because they didn't want my muscles to be showing fast growing recovery. They wanted me to stay calm, not eat anything. So my stomach wasn't processing. And basically the nuclear medicine doctor walked in, happened to be Kim, my friend, who's the lung radiologist's father. And he just said, "Shira, it's on fire. It's fast growing. I don't see it in your lymph nodes, but you got to get it out as soon as possible. It does not look good." And that was Friday. And I called my husband, who's a total bulldozer. And I was like, "I got to get it out." And we adjusted things and spoke to Vanderbilt, and they took it out Monday morning. And in the end, it was 2.2 centimeters. So it made me, and not in my lymph nodes, thank goodness. So it hadn't spread, and it made me a stage 1B because it was over an inch big. So you get the B, but it was stage 1 and it hadn't spread out of my lymph nodes. And I was in the hospital for a few days, ultimately came home just before my 44th birthday, and then started on the, trail to recovery and figuring out what happened to me and why this happened and how I could, stop this from happening to other people. Because what I realized in the days and weeks following is that I'm not special and unique. I mean, I'm really special and unique too, but in this case, I'm not. And lung cancer is killing more healthy, non-smoking women than breast and ovarian and cervical and uterine cancers combined, and how it's killing more people than, pancreatic and colon combined. And like, no one's talking about it. And people are very focused that you have to be a smoker to get lung cancer. But the answer is you have to have lungs to get lung cancer. And we all have lungs, and no one's checking for it unless you're a smoker. And even the smokers aren't checking for it. And I realized that there's so many people out there who have been diagnosed with lung cancer, but die from it. And there are just not as many survivors. And the reason there are not as many survivors is that by the time you have symptoms from lung cancer, it's too late. So like if you have colon cancer and there's blood in your stool, you catch it. If you have breast cancer and you feel a lump, you can catch it, or you have your mammogram or you have your colonoscopy. And with lung cancer, the people I've spoken to who have caught it have been on random scans, and those are the people alive. And the people that haven't made it, their families talk about them on a run and their sister's hip hurt. And they went in and ultimately found that there was lung cancer had spread to their hip, and it was all over their body, in all their bones, and they never make it. And so I'm trying to, tell my story so people get their lungs checked. I mean, I went and spoke at the temple in Nashville, and I just spoke to like 20 people. It was kind of like a trial run on how to tell my story a little bit. And I got a call from one of the women that was there, and she called me on Saturday and she said, I need to call and tell you that you saved my husband's life. And I listened to your talk. I made my husband come to your talk. He was a little annoyed with me, and we called our pulmonologist on Monday and asked for a scan. The pulmonologist was kind of like, you have no symptoms. Why would you do this? And we felt like we wanted to because of what you talked about. And we did the scan, and we had to pay out of pocket, and insurance didn't cover anything because we're not smokers. And we found out my husband has lung cancer, and he's going to beat it because it hasn't spread, and he's really lucky. And I just keep hearing these stories because, again, I'm not special and unique in my diagnosis. I'm special and unique that I caught it so early that I did this preventative scan.
Yeah, because the first thing people are going to think is just the enormity of the cost. I mean, people struggle already with healthcare costs, and this added thing, and then the fear. If I don't do something like that, I could miss a multitude of issues, let alone lung cancer. But again, the cost is the biggest problem.
Yeah, the cost is a problem, and I'm working with like the government to see if they'll start covering it. I'm working with insurance companies to talk to them about covering it. And then I also started a nonprofit. Actually, the American College of Radiology reached out proactively to me and said, we see what you're doing and trying to change, and we agree, and we want to start a nonprofit in your name. And so I'm putting proceeds from the book I'm writing in there, and I'm trying to raise money there. And that is to pay for people to be scanned, because I hope that in a short amount of time, I can get insurance and the government to cover it. But until then, I want to be able to pay for people to be scanned, because that is something we can do now today that helps catch it early enough that I can sit here and be a cancer survivor, and a lung cancer survivor of all things, which is not the cancer to get.
So again, the cancer had not spread, but it was fast growing. So the surgery was required immediately. Do we know how long it would have taken to have spread to your lymph nodes?
Yeah, I've asked my doctors that. They don't know, because like the path there is just different. But I've been told that if you'd waited a few more months, it could have been a very different story, that it could have spread to the lymph nodes. They ended up taking out my middle right lobe and the lower part of my upper lobe on my right side. And I mean, I was back running in 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So I think when you catch this early and you're in shape and healthy and it hasn't spread, you can bounce back really quickly. And I have other friends that caught it later, or they're older or less healthy, that I've met through this process and found other survivors. And they've had a harder time bouncing back, because if it's in your lymph nodes, it's spread, or if it's beyond, a few lobes of your lungs, they have to take out more lung and things like that.
Well, I was thinking, you have the luck of a father who's a lung doctor, your mom's a doctor, your brothers are doctors, and you have the financial resources. The way that other people are just like overwhelmed by this, that you had the luck that people knew what to look out for. I'm still concerned that you said that it's not until the symptoms show up that people even pursue an appointment with a doctor, and by then it's too late. Are there any symptoms at all that people could be looking out for?
I mean, honestly, if you have symptoms, it sometimes is too late. So it's a cough or a shortness of breath. But oftentimes it is too late. I think that's something I'm working on. So I spoke to the CEO of a huge national health insurance company, and I explained it to him. And I was like, this is what's going on, and we need to cover people's scans. And I think we should do a pilot program, or you should start thinking about this. And, originally at first he was like, oh, the cost, and maybe there's a lifestyle choice. And I was like, first of all, it's not a lifestyle choice.
Right.
I've never smoked. That's not the situation. And second, the cost. If you think about the cost that I went through with mine, it's the scan that Kim ordered for me that Monday that I paid out of pocket for was a few $100s. And then ultimately had surgery the following Monday. That's it. And so the insurance company wise, they paid my surgery. I don't have to have chemo. I don't have to have radiation. I don't have to, lose my hairs, have my kids see me debilitated, right, hire more childcare, deal with therapy for my kids, therapy for my husband, therapy for me, or maybe I don't make it and then my husband's a widow, or I'm not there to work anymore. And in the end, I took off a week. I was in the hospital 3 days, a few more days at home. Then the following week I couldn't drive. And then I was fine. I'm not fine, but I was able to function, able to work, able to get back to it. I think a friend of mine's, was the CEO of a major Fortune company and ended up with lung cancer, and it was too late. And that company has spiraled, everything. It hits so many more people than just the person affected by the cancer. It just is like this rippling effect out.
Mm-hmm. Spider web.
Oh, yeah. I think when I spoke to the CEO of that insurance company, I think he kind of understood. He was like, you're right. And then on the other side of it, just to explain this lung CT that I think people should get, it is, I don't know, a couple minutes less. You're in the machine for 90 seconds. It doesn't touch you. It doesn't hurt like a mammogram that smushes your boobs. You don't take medicine for 24 hours like a colonoscopy and then get put under general anesthesia. So you're not missing 2 or 3 days of work. The CT, you could easily do it in less than a lunch break. And I wasn't claustrophobic. It's like a donut that you lay on your back, slide in, slide out, you're done. And it has radiation. So you can get a low dose one and, just learn about the radiation effects of everything. But the radiation in these low dose CTs is way less than a flight from New York to California. So the downside of getting a scan like this, in my mind, is far outweighed by the upside of catching something if you can.
And how much is the heavy duty scan as it is right now?
So the lung scan that I got the second time and then the third time where I went was more expensive. I think it was $350, and then the third one I did was about $700. But a friend of mine just did theirs at a place in Nashville, and it was $160. So I didn't shop around and figure it out. I just kind of went in. Mm-hmm. Insurance won't cover it right now. And so a lot of times if you put it through insurance, then insurance denies it. You almost owe more, which is a weird thing about our healthcare system right now. Mm-hmm. But on the other side, if you just walk in, this woman just did it, walked in and got it for $160. The full body MRI that I received back over the summer in New York is much more. It's like a couple $1,000s. But there are some companies out there that are doing it for less now. So I think all those costs will come down, just like you get your full genome sequence 10 years ago, it was $10,000. Now it's $1,000, or
Right.
23andMe was $500 or whatever it was. Now it's like 99 or So I think all these things are changing and adjusting. But you can get a lung CT, low dose lung CT for probably $150, $200 right now.
And will that detect, though, even if it's low dose, like, will it actually?
It will.
What does your father think of all of this?
I mean, my dad, it's a little tongue in cheek, but I asked him right when I got diagnosed, I said, Dad, what is going on? Like, why do I have lung cancer? And he started crying and he was like, maybe because I'm a lung doctor. Like, maybe, you're so careful and you watch all these things and it's just bad luck. But like, luckily, it's good luck because you got the scan and we can solve it quickly and you have the right, connections and resources that I know I'm very lucky for having. I know that I'm lucky to be able to afford the scan. I'm lucky to have the resources and the connections with my dad and with my friend Kim and all of this. And my husband who, has worked in the healthcare industry and can call people at insurance companies or the government to try to unwind the mess.
Well, I think that's the torch. You were given all this opportunity and resources and you're learning this. And now this is like the great benefit of that is that you get to pass this on, all this information. I really hope that you're able to make this available because I'm heartbroken thinking of the countless people that we know who may right now have tumors and have absolutely no idea.
Well, I was one of them a few months ago, and my treatment now going forward, I don't need chemo. I don't need radiation. I don't have targeted therapies or immunotherapies or anything. They're just like, we are going to scan you every 3 months. And that's your treatment right now. And I do a blood biopsy. They can test your blood now and see if they can find the markers from your lung cancer in your blood to see if it's maybe started to grow again. So I'm going to go every 3 months. And then hopefully in a few years, I go every 6 months. But like the survival rate for somebody who finds the lung cancer before it's spread is like 90-something% to the 5-year mark, which is how they measure cancer survivors. And if it's spread out of your lymph nodes and stuff, I mean, stage 3 and 4 is very common for people. It's like, I don't know what the exact number is, but closer to 20%. It's like a huge delta. And all it is catching it early.
So what is the most important thing you want people to know? And what can they do to be of support to you?
I want people to get their lungs checked. So when you go get your mammogram, ask for a lung low-dose CT. Or when you get your colonoscopy, I think that tell your friends and your mom to go get checked. I think that it's important to realize that anyone can get lung cancer because we all have lungs. And I also think that it's important to be healthy and not smoke and not do those things. But even if you are those things, you can still get it. I started a website. I'm going to launch this month because February is Cancer Prevention Month. So it's important to take care of yourself. And it's called cancerdoesntcare.com. And I think that is a big thing that resonated with me. My daughter actually wrote a poem about it and a letter about it in August before I was diagnosed about how cancer doesn't care because we had some family members that we lost to cancer and it doesn't care. It doesn't matter, whether you're male or female or your color of your skin or how much money you have in the bank account, we all are being affected by it. And then the last thing is I wrote a book. It's called One Scan Saved My Life. And you can buy it and it comes out in April. And it's me talking about my journey as well as how we have to change the narrative for the American people, work with insurance companies, work with the government to fix the policy around it and bring awareness to this disease.
Well, if there's somebody who can do it, it's probably you.
Thanks, girl.
What is the prognosis moving forward? What is your life going to look like just to ensure that it hasn't spread or, popped up somewhere else.
Yeah. So for me, I'm really lucky. I'm going to do a scan every 3 months. I'm going to do blood work every 6 weeks. Hopefully then I move the scan to every 6 months and then annually. I think I have a lot of scans anxiety about that every 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually just found out last week, they sent my tumor to another lab, and the lab ran some tests on it and found that it was low risk for recurrence. So I felt good about that. That's why they decided not to give me chemotherapy like on a proactive adjuvant way. So they just are kind of monitoring me and watching me. I go to the doctor a lot. I get blood work a lot. When you have a big surgery like this, things that I didn't realize is that your whole system goes into shock. So I was in the hospital for a few days and came home, and they were like, oh, your blood pressure is a problem. Your liver doesn't look good. Your thyroid's a problem. And it's really like your body goes into shock. So it took a couple months for my body to kind of regroup. I mean, they took out a major portion of a very big organ. And so my body kind of freaked out for a minute, but I'm doing great now. I go to the doctor all the time. I get blood work a lot, but I'm not on any medication right now. I'm just being monitored and watched. And I hope that it doesn't come back. And I just keep getting scans.
So tell everybody again where they can get your book and where they can go to your website and also where they can follow you.
So you can go to my website. It's called cancerdoesntcare.com. And you can click through the website and find my nonprofit, and you can click through the website and buy the book. You can buy the book on Amazon right now. And I started social media pages because I'm getting into all of this that Kate has been in forever and ever, and I'm learning from her. And so on, my handle is Shira Boehler, at Shira Boehler. And so it's on Instagram, TikTok. I actually launched a LinkedIn today. So I'm working on it all.
I'm really proud of you and just really grateful that you're going to be able to help so many people. And I'm thinking too, what a good challenge for all of us to partner with someone, pick a friend and go and get a CT together, just the way that we would if we were going to go get a mammogram.
I totally agree. You should do it. Ask your doctor. I think it helps to start talking to your doctor. They need to hear more that this is a health crisis that people aren't talking about.
Thank you, friend.
Thank you.
The amazing Kate Casey.
I want to thank my great guest, Shira, and remind everybody to make sure that you click subscribe to this podcast. Please leave a 5-star review. Join the Facebook group Reality Life with Kate Casey. Also, you can get bonus episodes on Apple Podcast and on Patreon at patreon.com/KKC. Also, make sure you get my What to Watch list. Every week, I give you a list of what to watch in unscripted TV by going to katecasey.substack.com. Just put in your email address and it will come to you, and you can get archive lists as well. And follow me on social media. I'm on Instagram at @KatecaseyCA, TikTok, it's Kate Casey, and Twitter, Threads, and Blue Sky at @Katecasey.
The unique requirements of veterans and their families require a distinct set of educational programs and support to fit their lives. National University gets it. With over 50 years supporting and educating the military community, they offer tuition scholarships for veteran spouses, generous credit transfer policies, and the flexibility of 4- and 8-week online courses. That's why 30% of their students are military affiliated. NU, education that serves those who serve.